6:15. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here's the news edited by Dulmin Samarasinghe and read by Rumesh Pires. First, the headlines. All volumes, including evidence records of the Easter Sunday attack, submitted to Parliament. Attention paid on expeditiously to solve oil issue to generate electricity. Anuradhapura Oyamadua Suwasiripura Pharmaceutical Manufacturing Zone launched. 3 laboratories set up in the eastern province to check the quality of organic fertilizer. 3 suspects arrested for preparing forged PCR test reports. In news overseas, Ukraine's Western allies are set to impose sanctions on Russia. In sports, it's boxing. Dylan White signs a contract to fight WBC heavyweight champion Tyson Fury. Now the local news in detail. All volumes, including the final report of the Presidential Commission of Inquiry into the Easter Sunday attacks and related witness records, have been submitted to Parliament. The complete 88-volume report of the Presidential Commission of Inquiry was handed over to Speaker Mahinda Yapa Abeyewardene by the Director General of Legal Affairs of the Presidential Secretariat, Harigupta Rohanadira, this morning. The files were handed over to Parliament on the instructions of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. Minister Dr. Ramesh Patirana says that the President has instructed the Cabinet to take steps to solve the problem related to purchasing oil to generate electricity. Attention has been paid on opening letter of credit in this regard. During the Cabinet press briefing today, he said the government aims to solve the foreign exchange issue and to control the prevailing situation that has affected the people. He said that the activities of the previous good governance government have immensely contributed to the present electricity crisis. The proposed Sampur, Karavalapitiya and Karavalapitiya natural gas power plants have not been built after 2015. The minister pointed out it was possible to continuously supply electricity since power plants were built according to the plan from 2011 to 2015. State Minister Professor Channa Jayasumana says that the demand for paracetamol has increased by 275% during the past 3 weeks. He said Omicron, dengue and viral fever have contributed to the demand. Meanwhile, the inauguration ceremony of launching Suwasiripura Pharmaceutical Manufacturing Zone at Oyamadua in Anuradhapura took place this morning. 21 local investors have invested in the pharmaceutical manufacturing zone. Plans have been made to produce 50% of the medicines imported at the industrial zone by 2024 and make them available at low prices to the people. The CID has arrested 3 suspects with forged PCR test reports. The CID said they have issued fake PCR reports using a QR code of a main hospital in the country. They said that the suspects have charged 6,000 rupees for the PCR report. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Continuing with more local news, the governor of the Eastern Province, Anuradha Yampath, said that steps have been taken to set up 3 laboratories in the Eastern Province to check the quality of organic fertilizer. She said those laboratories will be set up in Trincomalee, Batiklo and Ampara districts. 1 billion rupees have been allocated to build the laboratories. This was stated by the governor of the Eastern Province while attending an event yesterday organized by the Batiklo District Department of Agriculture to recognize the best farmers. Additional General Manager Nihal Fernando says that consumers should pay 43 billion rupees to the Electricity Board. He said that the consumers have been informed the need to pay their electricity bills. He pointed out the need to use electricity carefully. Dr. B. Wijayaratne assumed duties as the new Director General of Sri Lanka Rupawahini Corporation. A ceremony in this regard was held at the corporation premises this morning. A group of corporation officials, including Chairman Sonala Gunawardena, attended the function. And that concludes local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The Health Ministry said today 207 more people have recovered from COVID-19 infections within the last 24 hours. This brings the number of COVID-19 recoveries in the country to 607,326. Meanwhile, 14,693 patients are under medical care at present. Sri Lanka has recorded 638,043 cases and 16,024 deaths since the outbreak of the pandemic. And that was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
This is Watchlight.
State Minister Professor Channa Jayasumana said guidelines on providing COVID-19 vaccines for children under 12 years old will be received this week. He said comments are anticipated in this regard from the Pediatric Infectious Disease Specialists Association. And that came to you in Watchlight. A bulletin of world news follows.
Coming up, world news.
Moving on to the bulletin of world news, first the headlines. Ukraine's Western allies are set to impose sanctions on Russia. Tonga internet restored 5 weeks after volcano eruption. Oil prices climb on fears that Ukraine-Russia crisis will disrupt supplies across the world. Now the world news in detail. Kiev's Western allies are set to impose sanctions on Russia over its move to recognize two breakaway regions in the eastern Ukraine as independent. The United States, European Union and the United Kingdom are expected to roll out measures today. It comes a day after Russian President Vladimir Putin announced he would deploy troops to the self-proclaimed Donetsk People's Republic and Luhansk People's Republic as part of Moscow's significant shift in policy. The submarine internet cable connecting Tonga and the rest of the world has been repaired 5 weeks after an underwater volcanic eruption hit the tiny Pacific island nation. The 15th January eruption and tsunami caused wide destruction, killing 3 people and damaging hundreds of homes. In the immediate aftermath, the country was cut off from global reach because the underwater cable had been severed. Oil prices are climbing on fears that the Ukraine-Russia crisis will disrupt supplies across the world. The price of Brent crude, an international benchmark, reached a 7-year high of $97.76 a barrel today. Russia ordered troops into 2 rebel-held regions in Ukraine's east after it recognized them as independent states. Asian stock markets closed lower and US stock exchanges were braced for losses. Back to the headlines of the world news. Ukraine's Western allies are set to impose sanctions on Russia. Tonga internet restored 5 weeks after volcano eruption. And oil prices climb on fears that Ukraine-Russia crisis will disrupt supplies across the world. And that concludes the World News Bulletin.
Development News is brought to you by Let's take coal out of the coconut tree and make the island thriving and prosperous. Call our hotline 1928. WhatsApp 070 400 1928.
A luxury urban hotel comprising 652 rooms is planned to be constructed jointly by DR Home Appliances Private Limited, which is a company under the group of Damro, Piastra Furniture Private Limited and DR Industries Private Limited in Colombo 3, with an investment of $70.4 million. Approval of the Board of Investment has been received to award relevant concessions to it under the Strategic Development Projects Act. And that came to you in Development News.
Development News was brought to you by the coconut tree is well grown in almost all the parts of the island. It is an exceptional source of extra income. The shell, the husk and almost all the parts of the coconut tree makes you money, providing you with an excellent extra source of income. It will also help to nourish the economy of the country. You will be guided with all necessary informations regarding the coconut cultivation, with the novel cultivation techniques and all other related and upgraded informations by the Coconut Research Institute, Lunavilla. Call our hotline 1928. WhatsApp 070 400 1928. Sports News is brought to you by
Sampath Bank. We present your future.
Moving on to sports. First, it's boxing. Dylan White has signed a contract to fight WBC heavyweight champion Tyson Fury just hours before the deadline. White, aged 33, had until this morning to sign, but had spent the weekend yesterday negotiating details of the deal. Fury has taken to social media to react to White's signing on for a fight that is expected to take place on the 23rd of April, potentially at Wembley Stadium. In cricket news, Pat Cummins, Mitchell Starc, Josh Hazlewood and David Warner have been rested from the limited overs leg of Australia's tour of Pakistan, while Matthew Wade has not been included with only a single T20 international in the schedule. Travis Head has an opportunity to play his first ODI since 2018, while Josh Inglis will be in the mix for a debut after his impressive start in the T20 international side against Sri Lanka. And there are sports news.
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Business news sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Spaceship company Virgin Galactic Holdings said the venture investor Chamath Palihapitiya would step down from his roles as chairman and board member to focus on other corporate commitments. The company's board appointed director Evan Lovell as interim chairman until a new chair is in place. Palihapitiya joined Virgin Galactic's board as its first chairman when the company went public in 2019. And that was business news.
Business news sponsored by
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Economic news, courtesy of...
I bought my daughter a laptop for her work by managing my finances. Whatever the expenses may be, I can't afford to miss out on life's special moments like her birthday or our anniversary. So you need to invest to make your family's future flourish.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibilities. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
Commercial banks have given a record amount of credit to the private sector in 2021, defying the impact of the pandemic and its related vagaries on the broader economy. According to the latest data released by the central bank, commercial lenders have given a cumulative 810.5 billion rupees in fresh credit to private individuals and businesses. And that was economic news. The weather report is next.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
The weather report.
And finally, on to the weather report. The Met Department says there is a high possibility for showers over the eastern and Uva provinces from tomorrow. Showers will occur at times in the eastern and Uva provinces and in Polonnaruwa and Matale districts. Several spells of showers will occur at Mullaitivu and Hambantota districts. Misty conditions can be expected at some places in the Sabaragamuwa, Central, Uva and North Central provinces during the morning. And that ends the weather report. And to end this news bulletin, a recap of the main news headlines. All volumes, including evidence records of the Easter Sunday attack, submitted to Parliament. Attention paid on expeditiously to solve oil issue to generate electricity. Anuradhapura Oyamaduwa Suvasiripura Pharmaceutical Manufacturing Zone launched. 3 laboratories set up in the Eastern Province to check the quality of organic fertilizer. 3 suspects arrested for preparing forged PCR test reports. In news overseas, Ukraine's Western allies are set to impose sanctions on Russia. In sports, Dylan White signs a contract to fight WBC heavyweight champion Tyson Fury. And that concludes this news broadcast from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Back to Chantima Veerakun to keep you company till end of transmission.